The other thing while I'm waiting for everybody to get on, each day at the beginning of class, if somebody can remind me to make sure that I'm recording our session, because they're going to be posted later if you guys need to go back and look at something. If we were going through a lesson and you want to go through and watch it again, or go back just for a certain concept, or if somebody's gone, they'll have access to the recorded session. And I know I'm going to be really bad about remembering to record. I just started now for this one, but at the beginning of class each day, if someone can just give me a quick reminder to make sure I've done that. I think we're still missing one person. Is there somebody that's not on yet?
My Wi-Fi is not working. I'm not sure.
Oh, your Wi-Fi isn't working to get on?
I'm the person. I'm sorry.
That's fine. If you can't get on, you can just follow along as we go. All right. There's Ramon. So Sam, it was you that you said you weren't able to get on it? All right. Oh, it just kicked someone else off too. All right. Well, we'll go. Oh, there we go. We got everybody. I'm going to start while everyone's on. All right. I was born and raised here in Bend. I did live in Kennewick for 5 years before moving back to Bend. I taught up there, taught middle school math and kindergarten through 8th grade PE, and coached baseball and basketball up there. But born in Bend. All right. I do have 3 kids. My oldest is Hadley. She's 5 years old. She's in kindergarten this year. My middle is Aiden. She's 3, turns 4 in a few weeks here, and she is in preschool. And then Benson, my youngest, is 2 years old. I am 30 years old. I'm going into, this is my 9th year of teaching now, my 4th year here at Trinity, and then my 3rd year as the high school principal here at Trinity. My favorite team is the Dodgers. My dad was born and raised down in the Los Angeles area, and my grandparents lived there my whole life growing up. So go down and go to games every summer, and I've always been a big Dodgers fan. All right. Yeah, PE and math were always my favorites. I've taught both of them now also, but math I definitely prefer for teaching. I do like history. I'm glad no one put science. Science was always my least favorite class. I consider you guys lucky to have a science teacher that at least makes science fun. My science teachers were always sit and listen to them talk every day for an hour and a half and then take a test on whatever they told us about. So I was never a big fan of it. That is correct. I did not do track, played football, basketball, and baseball my whole life. Played 1 year of college football and a couple of years of college basketball after that, and have now coached football, basketball, and baseball. I did track for one meet in middle school and then quit because it was taking too much time away from baseball. We've got Ethan in a commanding lead here. So I already told you this one, but can you get the spelling here? All right. That one is definitely false. Coffee is probably my least favorite drink. I can't stand the taste or the smell of it and have never liked it. But yeah, I'm one of the weird teachers that does not drink coffee, among other things that makes me weird. That one is true. We got a dog last year. We've had him for probably about a year. We rescued him. He's 5 or 6 years old, and his name is Kike. He's actually named, I had the question about the Dodgers. There's a player named Kike Hernandez that he's named after. But he is the weirdest dog I've ever seen, and we've given up on buying him toys because as soon as he goes outside, he just goes and finds a rock, and that's all he wants to play with. I actually met my wife in college when I transferred schools. I was a sophomore and she was a freshman, and we met and started dating a few months later. And we've now been married for a little over 7 years. All right, that one is true. As I said, born and raised in Bend, went to Trinity kindergarten through 8th grade, and we didn't have the high school yet, so I went to Summit High School here in town. So there are actually 6 of my teachers that I had at Trinity that are still teaching here. 2 of them are teaching in the high school, Mrs. Fitzhenry and Mr. Clift. Mrs. Fitzhenry was my 5th and 7th grade teacher, and Mr. Clift was my 4th grade teacher and football and basketball coach in middle school. I did attend both Concordia in Seward, Nebraska, and Portland. I went to Seward my freshman year on a football scholarship, and then had to have a pretty major foot surgery after the season and couldn't play football anymore. So I decided to transfer to Portland to be closer to home. And like I said before, that's where I met my wife, Chelsea. One more question here. All right. Favorite actor is Denzel Washington. I've loved pretty much every movie he's ever been in. If any of you are into reading biographies of famous people, I would highly recommend Denzel Washington's. He's an awesome Christian guy. Talks a lot about his faith in that book. And yeah, it's a great read. All right. Nice job, Lexi. All right. So now a little bit about what to expect for class, how class is going to run, different things like that. Those of you that have had me in the past have noticed that I am in a different place. I'm not in my classroom anymore. That is now Mrs. Vicknair's classroom. She's a new science teacher here. Her and Mr. Stuvey will be splitting up the science classes. So if you have her for a teacher, you'll notice that she will be in that classroom. While we're online, I will be in the DA lab in the main school building, which shares a wall with preschool and is right across the hall from daycare. So if you guys hear random screaming and crying and stuff like that, that's why. It's the little kids that are right next door to me. And then a lot of people are saying if, I'm saying when, because I'm trying to be hopeful and optimistic when we are going to be back in person and back in the classroom. Our math classes for my classes will take place in the lobby of the gym, mainly because it's one of the few places that we have available on campus that I can fit all of you in at once and not have to split you up into different sections for our geometry class. So that is where we will be when we get back onto campus in person. How class will work, just a quick rundown. It's going to look a little bit different day to day depending on the lesson. Some lessons I will teach during our 45 minutes that we have together here. You guys will have opportunities to ask questions while I'm teaching those lessons if you need to. But again, it'll just kind of depend on what the lesson is and what's needed for that lesson. Like I told you guys before, I will be, as long as I can remember, I will be recording the sessions. So even if you're in the class, if there's something that we get done and you just need to hear it again or see an example again, you can always go back and watch the recording of our session. And then some class periods will be a little bit of what's called a flipped classroom, which means that kind of similar to what we did last year, for those of you that had me, I will send out a video recording of me teaching the lesson. And then instead of using our 45 minutes together for me to teach the lesson, on those days, we will use it for you guys to be able to ask questions, go over extra examples. I might put together some different Kahoots, Google Forms, stuff like that you guys will be able to do. And it'll just be a good chance for me to check your understanding and make sure that you got all of the information from the video lesson that I had sent out. So again, that'll kind of change depending on what the lesson is. Depending on the day, we'll do either 1 or 2 lessons. I usually prefer, if I'm going to do 2 lessons in a day, that'll usually be on a week that we don't have class on Friday. When we don't have our 2 through classes Friday, I usually try to keep my double lesson days to those Thursdays. So then you have until the next Tuesday to get both assignments done. But there will be some Tuesdays that we might do double lessons. I will tell you, unless they're going to be really short, really easy assignments, I will not do double lessons on a Thursday when we have class on Friday, just because doing 2 lessons by the next day is a lot to do, especially when we're having to learn online like this. Google Classroom, I know you guys, most of you have been on for other classes already, and your teachers have probably walked you through your Google Classrooms, but I'm just going to do a quick walkthrough just in case there's anything that's different on mine. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen again here. Here's just the home page when you get onto geometry. This is called the stream page. As you see at the top here, it says when we have the class, what time for online, just in case you ever forget. If you click the little arrow here to expand this banner, it does have our link to be able to get on my WebEx room in case you ever forget where you need to go for that. I've changed the settings on mine so that when I assign homework and different things like that, it will not show up on this main stream page. I want to reserve this to be mainly for when I have important announcements for you guys. The stream page is where you will find that stuff. It does have the little box here for upcoming that when you have homework that is assigned, that will show up here and tell you when it's going to be due. Otherwise, if you want to be able to get to the homework, you'll go to the classwork tab, and you see there's a few things I've already uploaded. There's a couple things that are going to be your homework to do before Tuesday, and those will populate here in a few minutes before our class ends. Actually, to be able to talk about something else that we're going to need to go over, I'm going to go ahead and assign those now. So as long as you guys have your notifications set up right, you should be getting notifications now that you're getting something assigned for geometry. So again, if you're needing to see the classwork, you'll come to the classwork page. Otherwise, the stream, and you see here now that that's been assigned, it tells you due Tuesday at 9:35. So before class starts on Tuesday, you'll need to do both of these things. They're both just Google Forms. It should probably take you about 5 minutes to complete both of them, so nothing crazy. The other thing I want to make sure you guys have is your notifications turned on. So if you click on the 3 bars up here on the left, you should see all of your classes, and then click settings and make sure notifications, you have your email receive notifications turned on. The rest of mine looks a little bit different, but the options that you will have are right here for your notifications. For this class, you can keep them on. You don't need to for these top 3, since there's not, in this class, there's not really a lot of comments being done on your work. But one that you really want to make sure you have on is work and other posts from teachers. This will make sure that anytime I put a new assignment up, I put an announcement up on our stream, you will get an email saying that that has been posted. And it's just a good thing for you to be able to have that reminder. I would also recommend having due date reminders for your work turned on. It'll just send you a quick reminder 24 hours before your assignments are due, reminding you that you need to do it and that it's due in 24 hours. Then another awesome thing about all of these classes being on Google Classroom is that anytime any of your teachers assign something, as long as they attach a due date to it, it will show up on your Google Classroom or on your Google Calendar. So I'm going to show my Google Calendar here. You'll see here the geometry is the black one. So I'm on September 8th. It's telling me that at 9:35, this assignment about me and the math syllabus quiz are both due. It has the link to be able to get to that assignment if it's something on Google Classroom. So I would really highly recommend using Google Calendar as a great resource, since it's something that stuff automatically populates, and it's not something that you have to remember to go in and write down or fill in the assignments. I would also recommend, if you're playing any sports, if you're working, anything else you have going on outside of school, putting all of that stuff on your Google Calendar also, because then it's all in one place. If you have a smartphone, you can download the Google Calendar app, and that way you've got it on your phone. You know everything that you have going on. You can set different notifications and reminders for different things that you have on there. So again, I would highly recommend taking advantage of that. So then going back to our classroom here, the 2 assignments that just got posted, one of them is about me. It's just a quick Google form for you to fill out and answer some questions about yourself. It's just a good way for me to get to know you a little bit, since we're online and we're not in the classroom. The other one is a math syllabus quiz. I didn't want to sit here and read through our class syllabus. I wanted to have you guys just read through it on your own instead of sitting here listening to me read it. So at some point before Tuesday, you'll just need to read through the syllabus, which is posted right here on this same page. And then this is just a quick quiz to make sure that you read through it and that you know the information. Some of the information in the syllabus really only applies for when we're in the classroom in person, but some of it will apply to the online and all of that. So make sure you do that. That'll just show me that you read through it and that you understand. I think that was everything I wanted to share here. So going back to the homework, when we have regular assignments, most of the time those assignments will be out of your textbook. And I'll just have you guys do the assignment on a piece of paper, or actually I'm going to give you guys a couple of options. You can do it on a piece of paper. Those of you that had me last year will remember you just did your assignment, you took a picture of it or scanned it and posted that onto Google Docs to turn it in, or onto our classroom. So you can do that. If it's easier for you, it can also make it easier for me as I'm grading. You can just make a Google Doc with all of your answers. But if you do that, I would like you to at least attach a picture to it of your paper with your work. Especially while we're online, it's very important that you guys are showing your work, because if you just turn in a piece of paper or a Google Doc that has all of your answers, I don't know if you've actually gone through and done the work for those, or if you just asked your friends, hey, what can you give me all the answers? So that's my way of knowing that you actually went through and did these things. There will be some assignments, especially in geometry this year, as we're learning about different things. There are going to be assignments that I will specifically tell you you don't need to show your work on, because if you're given a line and they ask you to name it, you're just given the name. You don't need to, there's no work to show in order to give the name of it. But I will tell you guys when you don't need to. If I don't tell you you don't need to show work, then I will expect you to have your work shown for those assignments. For tests, I'm still figuring out exactly what it's going to look like, but most likely for those of you that took my final last year, it'll be similar to that, where I'll upload a PDF of the test, and that'll just be for you to look at the problems. You can work them out on a piece of paper, and then there will be a Google form, or I'll have you turn in a Google Doc or something like that with your answers. Again, I'm hoping we're going to be able to be back in person soon. There are going to be some opportunities starting in a couple weeks. You guys will get some information about possibly doing some in-person cohorts where we can have groups of 10 or less come in at a time to get help. And I'm hoping that will be something that, especially as we have tests coming up, we'll be able to utilize for you guys to come in and get some help if you need it before a test. So I know that was a lot of information. Does anybody have any questions about this class, about homework, anything? Yeah, Drew.
So how are we supposed to access the recording of the class?
Oh, how do you access the recording of the class? That's a good question. Once class is over, I forgot to record my last class. That's why I was telling you guys that I'll need to make sure someone reminds me. But once I get done teaching my classes today, I'll be able to play with where these recordings are stored. I'm thinking the easiest thing is probably going to be for me to pull them off of the website they're stored on, and I'll make a YouTube playlist for our geometry class. And then I will have the link for that YouTube site up on our Google Classroom, so that you guys can just click on that and it'll take you right to the playlist of the recordings. Any other questions at all? No? All right. So something else that isn't specific to just my class, but for all of your classes, just a general reminder, as you are getting on for your class periods, if a teacher lets you out a few minutes early of a class period, please don't just get on to your next one right away. Please wait until the soonest you should get on is 5 minutes before it starts. So like this one started at 9:35. The soonest you should have gotten on was 9:30. For your next one, the soonest you should get on is 10:20. The main reason is because since it's the same link for all classes, like if another teacher, I have algebra next, so if another teacher let someone in algebra out early and they got on right now, they would all of a sudden pop up into our class while we're finishing up class. So just out of respect for your teachers, make sure that you're not getting on while they're still teaching another class. Again, maximum of about 4 or 5 minutes is how early you should be getting on to each class. And if there are no other questions, since everything is a bit overwhelming today, I will let you guys go a few minutes early here. Get an extra few minutes of break before you have to get on to your next class. But it was awesome to see you guys. I'm hoping that I'm going to be able to see you guys in person soon and that we can be in the classroom instead of teaching this way. Because I know it's hard for you guys and it's really weird for me to be teaching to silence. So I'm hoping we can be back soon. But I will see you guys later. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Are our family groups same this year?
Oh, good question. Yes. At least for you guys, it is.
Okay.
I'll be sending an email out in the next couple days about it.
All right. Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I just